Well, hello and welcome to this first Cosmic Shimmer live. I hope you're all settled, got yourself something nice to drink because we've got loads to get through. But it's really exciting. It's fabulous stuff. Well, I haven't seen anything like it before, and you might not have either. But let me introduce myself first. I'm Sheena Douglass, and I am the Cosmic Shimmer educator. And I'm not alone. I have a helper here who's going to read your questions out and switch cameras over. So I can just concentrate on showing you the good stuff and playing, doing a bit of demos and things. So the helper is Maria, and she's going to just chip in if you've got anything that you want to know. So in real time, just ask if you've got any questions because we want it to be interactive. Um, Let me tell you a little bit about me before we start, just so that you know, you're thinking, why is she the cosmic person then? I was at the very start of the whole Cosmic Shimmer journey years and years ago. I was there at the very first few products and saw it build for quite a few years. And then I wandered off and did other things. And fortunately, very, very luckily, I'm back now that not only am I back with a brand that I love and is close to my heart, it's a brand that is managed by people who are also close to my heart, who are the best people I think to be taking care of it with Katie Sue. So it's all good. Now, let me give you some dates and times. Importantly, the first date is I've got them written down here. You know, you think I would remember, but seriously, I walk into a room and I forget what I walked in for. So, yeah, I'll do my best. It's the 24th, which is next week, isn't it? And it's on HobbyMaker, so don't miss. That's the big launch day. You're going to see everything. Well, you'll see that today as well, but there'll be more samples there as well. So the 24th, I've got shows at 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock on HobbyMaker. So that's the big, and it's in that big, like a big event. So it's a big deal. And they really looking forward to them. But on the 25th, all everything that you see today will be available at the stockists as well. So wherever you shop for your Cosmic Shimmer goods, you'll be able to shop for these on the 25th. But you're wondering what they are, aren't they? I would be. I think the best thing to do is show you on the overhead. Let's look on the overhead here and we'll take you through. Starting with each of these amazing new molds. Look at that. These are different. These are, well, they're amazing. I love this. I love the fantasy thing, but I like it with a little bit of an edge. They're not too sweet, and they're timeless. These are timeless. So the first one is this gorgeous enchanted tree. Now that's what it looks like on the packaging. This is what the mold looks like. You can see the level of detail in these molds is amazing, and I love the fact that you've got this little ridge here which makes it really easy even if you're brand new. So you know, you'll see me using these with the paper clay on TV and today, but if you love resin like this, you're gonna absolutely rock them because you know the resin is really tough. It'll allow you to you know, make some you know, more 3D products and projects, as well as, you know, the paper clay that you're going to see us using today. And then if you want to see what it looks like in a project, hello, not too shabby. Now, I have to say, you know what? My team have made these projects for us, and it doesn't have names on all of them. Oh, I'm really sorry. I should have said put your name in the back of them. I think this might be Lisa. I want to say it's Lisa. Lisa Beecham. But if I'm wrong, and if you're watching, Lisa, correct me if I'm wrong. That's the first one. That's Enchanted Tree, and I'm hoping you're loving them as much as we are all loving them. I mean, look, this is paper clay. Lisa's just treated it like it's paper, so she's really great at colouring in paper. So she's really great at colouring in this gorgeous tree here. And if you love the background, keep watching. That's coming up. So that's the first one. I literally have piles of amazing things ready to. I'm hoping that it's going to stay as tidy as it is when I take them away here. Let's put them back. Do my best. Right, so the next one, oh, wait to see this. Look at that. That is something special fairy tales frame. This looks like, it looks like a, you know when you see those molded metal plates, you know, when you see the old-fashioned advertising and things. This is what this reminds me of. Something that is quite Victorian looking, I think, and just timeless. It is exquisite and it's big. So this, if you're a beginner, it's more of an advanced mold. But having said that, it's like stamping, you know, you get the right instruction, you get the right product to use with it. And even, you know, with paper clay, even if you needed to do it a second time, you roll it up and you do it again. So I'm not even going to go there. I'm not even going to say that. I'm just going to say it's a great mold. It's a sizable mold and it looks spectacular when you do something with it. Let me show you what it looks like in resin. Look at that. That just looks like metal. It just looks like aged metal, like as if it's embossed metal, you know, the tin. I just think that's exquisite. So if you use resin, you will be rocking these straight away. But if you're new to you know, molded and you've started with the paper clay as well, look at that. It's a full book box, and this is Pamela's. Pamela by Pamela Stewart. Thanks, Pam. She's put her name in it. Yeah, she knows what I'm like. So isn't that just gorgeous? And if you want to see this, just keep watching. There might be another tutorial coming up in the future, but I've already said too much. I can't see anymore. Yeah, absolutely gorgeous. So this is the background. If you love the focal image here, keep watching. So that's the book plate, the fairy book plate. Right, bear with while I get another pile ready to show you. It's getting trickier, not gonna lie. Reaching over here, okay. We're good. I've got another one here. All right, back to the overhead then, Maria. Thank you very much. Toadstools. I love a toadstool. They are so popular. So even if you don't, you know, you're not as much into the fairies, you might want the twisted tree and the toadstools. Fabulous. But you know what? These are young and old as well. And projects you can make, well, wait, you see. So that's the cover. That's the mould there. Fabulous. And they're still in the packaging because I'm keeping them nice and pretty. You'll see me using them shortly, and you'll see them on TV out of the packaging. But that is what they look like in resin, just with a little bit of that fabulous mica powder, the Cosmic Shimmer mica powder on them. And look at that. They look, again, they look like metal. Look at the detail on them. And there's no skill required to do that. This is poured resin, fine. But if you use the paper clay, you're going to get that same look. And all you're going to do is use a black clay and use the bronze mica powder, a little bit of water and brush it over. And that's the look you're going to get. Fantastic. So even if you're not like, you know, confident with your colouring, like just saying, hello. What? This is Debbie's project here. This is an homage to the toadstool. You can see the tree that we've just looked at previously. Look at the side of the box as well. What a fabulous, fabulous keepsake that is. Isn't that stunning? Absolutely gorgeous. And shout out if there's any questions. Remember, Maria's here shielding them and shouting out if there's anything there. So, do we have any questions yet?
You've got lots of hearts.
Oh, fabulous. Oh, I love hearts. Hearts are brilliant because that's how we know that you're loving what you're seeing. And until it's the TV show, we won't know just how much you're loving. Look at my hand there. Look at the hand. Right, try and do some interesting hand work while I bring in the next project. Yeah, that's better than I don't know which is the most exciting, my hand or just me, you know, pulling faces. But whatever it is, it's we'll get through these. I think we're doing too bad. It's quite slick, you know, considering there's piles of them, like I say, and they're still relatively neat. So this one here, she is the fairy queen. I love this one. She is just gorgeous. Look at that. Look at the depth and the detail. Not only do you get the fairy queen, you get the three gorgeous different butterflies. So, you know, you might not want to use the full fairy queen. You might be making jewelry, you might be making earrings, you might be making things that, you know, you're gonna, you know, sell or whatever with your projects, and you can just use the smaller butterflies. But then you have, and show some hearts if you're liking her. I think she's just beautiful. the detail when you do this, you'll see that she's actually got webbing in the rings. Let me show you. This is the board here. You'll see there's actually, yeah, Marie's coming in super close for you there. Look at that. Can you see? Not only do you have the larger veins in the wings, you've got all this extra detail that when you put the clay in, even I first painted, I thought, wow, I didn't even know that was there. The detail on the bodice and on the dress is just exquisite. I'm total respect to the artist who creates these molds. Absolutely stunning. And then this is just a little simple project, just to show you they don't have to all be big projects. This is just a little fridge magnet Pamela's made there, just with her. How beautiful is she? So if you just want to make little gifts, you know, as a little thank you, or you know, you don't want to go full on with the gifting, but you want something nice for someone, I think that's a perfect, great idea. Right, now the next one coming in here, we have right, this is the one we're going to focus on shortly. We're going to make a project with her, the forest fairy. Now, when I was a kid, I had loads of fairy books that were an amazing artist, and they were timeless, and I loved them. And she very much reminds me of this look and era. And when you see the project we're going to make, I've painted her to look like she's kind of from that time, and you know, beginning of the century, last century. I think she's absolutely beautiful. So with her, yes, Maria.
Amanda says, are these moulds still food grade silicone?
Yes. Having a sip of tea then. Absolutely, I should have mentioned that. Yes, but not if you use them for your other crafting. You've got to get two. So use one for your food grade, use one for your crafting, you know, your paper crafting, your silicone, your paper clay. Absolutely food grade. You know, they've been doing these molds a while now, Katie Sue. They know what they're doing, and they are amazing. Like I've always said, it's like if you draw a stamp with a lot of detail, it's only as good as the manufacturing process. So all the detail that designers put in these is replicated in the mold, and you don't have to work at it. It's like, you know, it's done for you. All you've got to do is squash the clay in there and take it out, and you're done. But that is the mold. This is what it looks like in resin. And if you want that look again, just use some black paper clay and use that bronze, the copper mica powder with a little bit of water and dry brush over the top, and you'll get that gorgeous look there. But then if you want to see what she looks like in a setting, how gorgeous is she? So there's the toadstools we've just seen. Styled out a little bit with bigger dots. So see, you can do them any way you want with these are the ones that are in the frame. I don't know if have we showed this frame yet. Well, it's featured, but I'm not sure if we've actually shown you the frame. It's coming up. Keep watching. But if you like this one, this is the forest fairy, and you can see how she looks in this thing. I may as well show you the project we're going to make in a minute. This is the card we're going to make very soon, featuring her. You can see how I've used the really warm colours in that. So she's the forest fairy. Okay, I'm going to stretch further over here. Right, that very, very background that I was just talking about. Here it is, this little thing. Look at that. You know what? Even if you like kind of like, you know, fantasy fiction, like, you know, the classic books, just reminds me of that. It's just fabulous, male, female, young, old. I love it. Absolutely amazing. That's what it looks like, and that is the mold there. So you can see that's the big one. That's the other big one, like the fairy book plate. And this one is your Enchanted Forest Scene, if you like that one. Why would you not? When I first saw these, my jaw literally dropped, and I could not wait to show you them. Couldn't wait to bring these to you. Very lucky lady that I get to do that. This is what it looks like in resin. Again, with just that copper over black. And then if you want to see, you see everything works together. That's the thing. Everything works together. And if you like a nice journal, just saying, keep watching, tune into the shows as well. Might be a little surprise for you there also. This one is just amazing. Who's this one? I think this might be Pamela. Let me have a look. That's a mystery one. I can't tell you because there's no name on it, but it's one of the team made it and it's absolutely stunning. But you can see how we haven't seen her yet. Oh, let's look at her yet next. Okay, she's coming up. Um, so you can use just the background or you can add these elements in there. Your choice. All mix and match. Everything's been thought out to work together. Any more questions, Maria?
No more questions yet.
All right then. Any hearts, Maria?
Lots of hearts going on, Sheena.
Fabulous, fabulous. Right, okay. This, I love this one as well. This one here, Fairy Maiden. Again, timeless. She looks very elf-like. See the ears, the little pointy ears. She looks like you know, like a forest elf fairy. She's gorgeous, isn't she?
Yeah.
Isn't she gorgeous? So that's the packaging. That's the one you're looking for, Fairy Maiden, and that is the mould there. That's what it looks like. I'm amazed at when you get the light across these and how. And you know what? Until you get the clear, the resin in there, there's detail I don't even know's there. It's fabulous. And again, food grade, but use the ones for food separate. Keep those just for food. The ones that you're using for paper crafting, keep those just for that. And this is what she looks like in the resin. Beautiful. Absolutely stunning. And again, not difficult. They look gorgeous in the monochrome to look like the aged metal, aged bronze. And that is such an easy technique, so achievable. You'll see me doing that on the shows and you'll have seen in the previous videos. But look at this. Is that not a wow? You can take these as far as you want to take them. So Debbie's got this book here, box, which is absolutely stunning. And she's created an amazing keepsake, an absolutely gorgeous keepsake hereby. She's put the book plate on that we've already seen here, and she's painted the panel. So if you're quite confident with a little bit, little bit of painting, this is not difficult. We could probably show you how to do this in a tutorial coming up. If you want that, show a lot of hearts. If you would like to see this in a tutorial, I'll give you a little bit of a minute to give us lots of hearts, and we'll make sure that I'll have a word with the people who know, and if we can schedule maybe a background like that in there for one of the upcoming tutorials, whether pre-record or live. I think that would be a really nice thing to see. Did we get hearts? Did they want to see that?
Sheena.
All right. Well,
Marion says, wow.
yeah, stunning, isn't it? But so, this part here, you may have seen, worked out how to colour these bits with the various paints and things. But this centre panel is like, oh, I can't believe how. So anything, any picture, even if you're not great at, the painting, and you think, nah, I'm not, it's not me. I'm not into that. You could use maybe napkin art in the centre. Yeah. So if you use a napkin and your medium and cut it to size, and the picture would work in the center there. Piece of backing paper, anything would work also in the center as a setting for your gorgeous fairy maiden to sit in there as well. All right, moving along. Okay, where are we now, Maria? Oh, this one here. You know what? Of all of the things here that we've got, all these gorgeous molds, all these stunning things, I have to say this one here coming up. This one, Lisa Beecham was beyond excited when she saw this, right? Because here's the thing, she's done a lot of projects like with pyrography on wood slices, and wood slices are lovely, but I've bought so many, but they tend to split. Over time they get dry and they crack and they can split. This one, medium log slice, it's not going to split, and you can make coasters out of this if you use resin. You can use but what it really is that's what it looks like in the resin. So if you want to have something really durable, really tough that you can stand something on, you've got the resin option. But if you want to use your paper clay and make a pretty little hanging like this, you can also do that as well. It's a gorgeous backdrop, a gorgeous setting for these elements, the toadstools, the fairies. it's just a lovely base and a lovely size to hang off a wardrobe or a chest of drawers. You could personalize it. You can put the name on, and you can see that's Pamela's made that beautifully. So that one there is the medium log slice. Okay, getting through these. Oh, all right. Let me see. Yeah, have we done this? Ah, right. Yes, right. Okay, I'm talking to myself. It happens. Filter heavily is what I would say. You'll get used to it. Right. These here, these are really useful. These are like your worker images. These are ones that you're going to just come back to time and time again. You know, where you would maybe have a stamp on a card, or you know, something. Well, that's about it really. But you want something a bit more prominent, a bit more there. These are perfect because these are the molds that are going to give you these fabulous the wording plates. So they are actually believers mini plaques, and they've got really lovely you know, appropriate wording on there together. Good times ahead, grateful, I love fairies, believe and dream. And you can see here, oh well, let me show you the resin here. That's what they look like in resin. But if you want to see how they work on a project, there you go, with a tree and the door hanger. See how you can make gorgeous gifts with these as well. If you like the look of this hanger, if you want to know how this was created, tune in to the shows and you might just see that.
Lots of hearts there, Sheena.
Fabulous. All right, moving on. Where are we? Done the torso? Have we done them all? Have we done all 9? I think we have.
I think you have, Sheena. What I can tell you is,
Yes.
Betty
Yeah.
has sneaked in. She's at work.
Lady
But
Betty.
she said she had to take a little sneaky peek at the new moulds and see everyone live on here.
Ah, you're a tinker, Betty. I like your style though. Good on you. Say nothing. We'll talk quiet. They'll never know. So, I thought, you know what? If I haven't caught them all, somebody from Cosmic Shimmer, tell me if I've missed one. I don't think I have. I think we've done them all. What we're going to do now is we're going to work through a project together. I think it makes sense.
Yeah, great.
Don't you?
Yeah, do it.
All right then, let's do it. I'm going to pop that back there, and I'm going to bring in my prepped items here. So I've got that gorgeous mold here that we're going to work on. This is the forest fairy mold here, and we're actually going to do some molding. Before we do anything with that, I'm going to use a little bit of Trex or Crisco, anything like that, just a, you know, vegetable shortening. Yeah. But the smallest amount, so all you're doing is virtually just touching it, and you can barely see it on your fingers. That's it. You don't want big lumps of this in your mold. You're just literally going over there, so that all it is just adding a bit of a sheen to your fingertips, not sitting on there. And we're going to work around there like this. And then what we're going to do, I have some pre-mixed colour here. Let me show you. Look at this. Right, this is, you know what? I'm going to show you. This is what it looks like. This is the reality of working with paper clay. I keep saying about the best way to store your clay is in this packaging that it comes in. And I've kept 2 of the white packets and put one inside the other, and then inside a Ziploc bag, because the way to keep it so that you can come back and just pick some out like I have now, this hasn't been used for a few weeks, is to come back and then you can just, it's ready to go. Look at that, it's perfect. Now what I've done to get that colour, you can see it's not white. In fact, I've mixed all of that colour there. The white is bright white. This isn't. How I got there is I mixed a little bit, now I mean a little tiny bit of the brown. And then if you want to warm it up a little bit, you could put a tiny touch of the orange or the red in there, just to make kind of a an off-white, getting towards a skin tone. But more Nosferatu skin tone at the minute, I gotta say, or me. But it's getting there. It's warmer than white, and it's just a nicer base to use to colour. if it's going to be a natural color. Artists tend to do that with paintings, and what they'll say it's an underpainting, undercoat and underpaint. They'll sometimes put a color underneath what they're going to paint. Right, so I'm just getting that nice and workable again. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my mold, and I'm going to take. Now, I've got to say, I always end up with more than I need, but that's me. I'd rather start with more than is necessary. Just make sure before you do this as well that there's nothing hanging around. If you've got little furry people in the house, like, cats especially, the hairs kind of just float, don't they? It's like, where do they come from? Just make sure you've got no hairs hanging around there. Dog hairs or anything like that. Just little bits on your craft room that might just appear, because if it's in there it'll end up on your mold. Any questions, shout up. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm making this nice and smooth, because where there's a face you want to make sure that's nice and smooth to start with. I wish it was that easy in real life. Alas, it is not. And then I'm going to start squidging. Can you see I've got a lot here. It clearly way too much, but that's all right. Not a problem. No harm, no foul. And I tend to move it around and then just continue squidging. And I'm clearly going to take some of this away because it's just a little bit extreme. But that's okay. I'd rather have more than add to it, but you can add to it if you need to as well. So I'm going around this mold. Now, what I should have said is, if you're not sure and it's the first time you're molding this little gorgeous fairy here, have a look at the packaging, right? Have a look at the mold and see what's happening before you start. If you look here, you'll see there's little bits where you need to be careful that, there's bridges coming right into here. By that, I mean there's a line that is going to separate our arm from the rest of what's going on. So be careful that you don't put that much clay on there, that you lose that. Can you see that bit that comes right in there? Yeah? That's what you need to look for. And just push that back, because if not, you'll have all that kind of webbing in there. And there's another one there, just where our hand is. So just make sure you're pushing that. And it's not a rush. This is not anything that you have to panic or rush about. The clay's not going to dry in a few seconds or a few minutes while you do this. You've got plenty of time. It's all good. Just chill. I'm not as speedy as Noreen, I have to say. The mold meister herself. And respect to my fabulous friend Noreen, who has taken me under her wing. Now, with the painting and with all the techniques and things, like, I'm happy, I'm your woman. Yeah, that's my manner. I'm good, great with that. But I was new to the molds until last year, a few months back, and it honestly didn't take me any time to just pick them up and get started with them. But that's, again, with a little bit of good advice and things to watch out for, like everything, it was brilliant. So, a little bit of advice from Noreen, and then I'm off and running. So what I'm doing now is I'm just going over this, and I'm just trying to even out the background a little bit, where it might be a little bit thick in one area, a little bit too much, and making sure also that I've got these little bridges, that I call them, these bits that come into the design, like this one here. Yeah. Great. And then continuing with that, and then this excess, I'm just going to take that away. I don't want to keep doing this all the time and have little bits of papery bits, because then you can't use them. They're just like dried up little bits of paper. But if you take this away a couple of times during the process, that's all right, because there are small little bits in here where these plants are. You see that one there? There. And then there's another one just here. It's kind of like you've got to, discover them sometimes. See?
So it is important to refer to your picture, isn't
It
it?
is. It's a good thing. It's like, whenever I talk about stamping, if you've done stamping before, that's what you're familiar with. I like to read the stamp, see what's going on before you start, so you don't just jump in there, kind of, not knowing what's what and what's where. And it's the same with your mold. Have a look at it and see where, right, that bit I'll have to look at, this bit I'll have to be aware of, and work like that. So now that's all good. What I'm going to do is, and I wasn't worried about rushing, did that deliberately, took me time. I'm just going to pull back. See there? See? There's a little bit there that needed to come back a little bit around the outside. Now, what I like to think of is as if it should look like you've taken a super fine pencil and drawn around the outside. You see a nice thin grey line around all of the outside of your image, and that means that you've got no overhang of your paper clay, and it also means that the air can get in there when we start to demold it. And also you haven't missed any bits. Now she looks like she should be hopefully ready to play nicely. So I'm just going to stretch this mold. That's what these bits outside are for, to get the air into this and break the vacuum. Now I will say with this one, this bit at the bottom is the trickiest bit that you could tear, because there's just a very fine bridge here. So just be careful to make sure that you've got this little bit here wants to come out of the mold, and our arm there. And then hopefully she should be virtually just dropping out of that. But like I say, this one has got a little few bits, and it's quite a shallow one, this one, so there's not a lot of clay in this mold. That tiny little bit at the bottom, oh, just got it there. And don't worry if that, see, that's just a little bit bent there. We can pop that back, but then you've got that perfect little design there, and you can see how delicate it is, how the detail is just incredible, isn't it?
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's fabulous. I won't do the flowers because we need to move on and get painting, because it's going to be an epic. You're going to be like, how many cups of tea can you get in one Facebook Live? Right, so we'll pop her. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take her and you're going to put her on some kitchen paper. Get a piece of kitchen paper, pop her on there. Oh, I've just moved her hand then. You know what? You probably could articulate that a little bit. I think she might be like a royal wave. Yeah, yeah, like that. Yeah.
Carol does give a little warning here, Sheena.
Carol does. Oh
Yes.
no. Ba, ba,
This is
ba.
GB, by the way.
Yeah.
Moulding is pretty addicting.
Oh yeah, and Carol's brand new. Carol's in the US of A. Carol Galwood Beard, and she is, yeah. We've created a monster on the moulding with Carol. So that's what you can do. Pop it to one side. Now leave that for an hour or two, at least a couple of hours. Then turn her over. As long as it's nice, I mean, it's pretty. It's even if you turn her over now, it's unlikely that she's going to squidge flat, but you do want to leave it for a couple of hours. It's more kind of robust than you think, but leave it a couple of hours, turn her over so that that side dries, and just keep doing that. And good overnight's really best to let her dry, but she's not really thick, this one, so she doesn't take too long. So I'm going to pop her to one side, and then I'm going to bring in two that I made earlier. And I just want to point out as well, look at the different colors here. We've got 3 different shades here, and this is, so we've got from the lighter, a little bit darker, and then darker again. Now that just depends on how much brown you want to put in and what skin tone base you want to start with. Your call. Also what happens is you do get a degree of shrinkage as well. You can see this one here, if we put her there, you can see that the paper clay does shrink. Resin doesn't, paper clay will. Okay, but that's just the moisture coming out of there as it dries. So we'll pop that to one side. I'm going to bring up my painting mat now, my glass mat, and we're going to bring these two in here. Now I have got prepared, let me take this little flower out as well, because we'll paint this flower, and the teeniest of teeny butterflies. Look at that. It's a micro butterfly. Right, what we're going to use is we're going to use the water-based inks to colour these in, and I have already decanted them. I'm going to show you what I've done in preparation of this. I would say one of the ones you want to buy for the fairies is buff, because buff is a great skin tone base to start with without having to mix too much and mess around with it. It's a really good one. But let me show you what I've done. I invested in some little cheap as chips. Cheap as cheap. Sounds like I was going to sing a little chirpy cheap then. These little palettes. And I mean, they're like, I think they're about 25 pence each. But the reason I got these ones is, as you can see, I can write on them, because when you put your inks in the palette, would you know? Does that look, would I know that was golden green? No. Would I know this was olive? That's really weird. I wrote olive on there, not intending to draw a heart, but I do love olive. So yeah, go figure. So all these colours, and mustard, that does not look like mustard. So put them in, if you want to, I think it's a good idea to invest in these little cheap palettes for that absolute reason, and then you'll know, you can have them for all your different colours. Maria's got a question.
Just a quick question from me. Are these water soluble, i.e. were these palettes clean up nice and
Yes,
easy?
they will, Maria. And I'll tell you what's a really big tip here. If you don't use all of this that's in here, right? Because you probably not. I've put quite a lot in here, and these are little, little teeny fairies here. Don't worry. You can actually squeeze the pipette and squeeze it back up if there's a lot out there, and put it back in the bottle. But let them dry and just add a little bit of water next day.
Oh, right.
Yeah, use them again.
Reinvigorate them.
Absolutely. I wish I could reinvigorate myself, but alas, 'tis not the case. But we can with the inks. Right. So let's paint. Let's go with the paler or darker. Paler or darker.
Go darker.
Go darker. Okay, let's do that. Right. So I am going to. What I want to do is what I'm working on here is I'm working on a warm palette, Maria. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take now you'll find me probably mixing. I'm going to bring some colours just so that you can see, hopefully, in there and in there. Is that going to work for you? Let me do that and that, possibly. Yeah. All right. We'll go. Then we can come in. Pretty good at that when we need to. So I'm going to start with buff. Now the thing is with buff, it's already really, really pale, and I like to start on the skin tone. So I'm using a small brush. Now what I would say, get good light when you're doing this. All right, use a small brush. I'm using a number 2. I have to say, when you're working on brush sizes, it absolutely depends on what make it is. You would think that, like pencils, like a 2B pencil is always going to be the same darkness as another 2B pencil. With brushes, number 2 brush is not necessarily going to be the same size from one manufacturer as the other manufacturer. So all I would say is use a small round brush. And you can see already that skin tone is just working. It's warmed up the colour that's already there. Let's do our face. Now, the thing is with the face as well, don't think you have to start doing like contouring and, give her the cheekbones and everything like that, with your makeup tutorials. Don't. It's the mold is designed to really take all the work away from you. So I'm just going around here and painting. We've still got people, Maria.
We have. And Lisa from your design team says,
Yeah.
they're so nice to paint with, and buff is so handy to have.
Isn't it? It is such a good design. And you have to say, my design team as well, been with me for years, but hadn't used any of these molds until a few months back and rocking them. Well, you've seen the samples. So that's just a really nice base skin tone, isn't it? Oh, I've missed a foot. Hang on. Missed a foot. There you are. But you know what? It's not a problem, because what you're going to do when you finish painting, you give it a little glance over, and anything you've missed, you just go over again. Now, it's bled over a little bit, that buff, onto that flower. I'm not going to worry about that, because that's going to be darker than the skin tone, which is why I wanted to do the skin tone first, because it's easier to avoid that area when you're painting the rest of it than make it light again, like watercolors. If you get green or something on there, it's trickier to get off. So by painting the skin tone first, I can be careful to avoid that, if that makes sense. Right, so let's do our hair. Let's do that bit as well. So I'm going to use walnut. Let's do our dark brown hair. So I've got walnut here. That is really quite narrow, that brush. I might go for a bit slightly bigger. Let me show you here. So this is, right, so that's a number 2 in that make. And that's a number 1 in that make. Seriously? See what I mean? Hello. You can't go on the sides. It's just a close to that side. But I'm going to go with these two. Now, mentioning brushes, if you've got a good quality brush, you don't have to worry about going up a size either, because can you see the point this foams on here? Foams a better point than I do a lot of the time. But so what I'm doing before you start, always wet your brush, and these are really quite strong, so you might want to take a little bit out, and you might want to add a little touch of water to see how dark it's going to be. And I'll tell you what, the best way to check out the colour is on the back of your mould. I test my colours all the time on there because they're going to be stuck down anyway. But yeah, I'm going to definitely want a little bit of water in there, just to, so it's not too dark on that. So what I'm doing is I'm using that larger brush. Now I will say, when you do this, you'll be better at doing this than I am, because I would pick this up so that it was closer to me so I could see better. But if I do that, you won't see a thing. So kind of counterproductive. Just means me talking to myself and you thinking, well, this is great. What's she doing? So I'm just trying. Should have gone to Specsavers. Right, I'm just trying to catch everything here, kind of a little bit more at arm's length than I would like to be, but you just get comfortable with that and do it best way you can. And again, just take your time, no rush. And you know what, even if it's not perfect, don't worry about it. Honestly, when you're finished, when it's all painted, you won't see it. It'll be fine. So that's a hair. Make sure as well, can you see there where I've missed that side bit? Always turn it around, because that, you don't want those little stark bits showing on your painted piece. If you look across, you don't want to be able to see that, I think. So I just want to get a little bit closer in there like that. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a baby wipe. Well, it's actually, what I prefer are these water wipes. Baby wipes have got like moisturizers and things in them, and it can put a kind of an oily film over your project. So if you want to put watercolor on it again, it might kind of repel a little bit. Whereas these water wipes are literally, I think they say they're what, 99% water. Don't know what the rest of it is. No, I don't need to know. But when you do that way, you can rub away some of the colour, and then you get a natural highlight on a hair. Okay, and all that little kind of movement comes out there like that. So keep that baby wipe or water wipe handy, because we're going to be using it again in a minute. If there's any questions, don't forget to shout up. Maria,
We've had Tracy from the design team join us as well. So we've got 3 members, 3 ladies from the design team. And ladies, if you want to jump in on the comments there and add anything about your experiences of using the paper clay and these beautiful moulds, then please do.
Fabulous, because we like to share. So what I've got here, I've got tangerine. Now, I have mixed it with that little bit of brown that's in there, and that's a deliberate move, because I don't want bright, bright, bright in your face colours for any of this project. I want them to be muted, vintage and warm. So I'll explain what I mean by warm. We'll maybe doing a colour mixing video coming up. And we'll go into that a little bit more depth. But by warm, I mean like reds, yellows, warm browns that have got red or yellow in them, greens that are more yellowy than bluey, and then it keeps it all to this nice, rich, vintage looking palette. Now I've put that red there, and I'm just adding water now and dragging that out a little bit. Am I still in shot there?
You are.
Okay, that's unusual for me.
Sherry from the US, hi Sherry. She says, do you have any of the magnifying glasses when you're working on close detail?
You know what, we did buy some as a team. We've got these ones that you can either use on the desk or put over the, you know, on your glasses. It looks like you're gonna go do a bit of mining or something. But I really don't need them, and I use varifocals. And I've got severe astigmatism, so don't worry about having to invest in a lot of kit to be able to paint these. Honestly, look at how pretty that is. See what I mean about the warm vintage colour?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? And because that was a warmer base, it actually ties in really well. Now looking at that, I've noticed I want to put a little bit more brown under there, but I can do that later. Not a problem. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to think of our dress colour, and I quite like this colour that I used on our wings. So I think I'm going to probably replicate that. So it's going to be a little bit of the you know what, I'm wondering if I should use some of the French mustard. Let's go French mustard a little bit more, kind of a yellowy base, and then we'll add a little bit of maybe walnut and things into it. So I haven't watered this down, so it's going to be quite, but again, it's all more muted. Instead of a bright yellow, French mustard's more of a ochre, kind of a muted yellow, like yellow that's been hanging around a little bit longer and gone a little bit more aged. As you will be, actually, by the time you've finished watching a few lives by yours truly. Just saying. So I've caught a little bit on a there that I didn't want there, but at the minute I'm not going to worry about that, because often if you go back you can just catch that and blend it out. I'm hoping that is the case, because I don't want to stop either painting this dress, because I don't want it to have a little kind of a join where I've stopped and then started again, if that makes sense.
And of course, as soon as you start adding this paint, the detail really pops, doesn't
Oh,
it?
it's amazing, Maria. Yeah, it really does. And then you know what, that little trick with the wet wipe, with the water wipe, it really does reveal all of that detail. So you don't have to worry about shading and being clever with everything, because you know the artist has already done that for you, made your job a lot easier. So all I'm doing here again is I'm making sure I've got the edges painted. I've caught everything that needs to be caught. Just look around and like this. And then I want to add some red on there, but before I do, I'm just going to take clean water. Always have clean water next to you. And you see that little dot there? I just want to take my brush and just gently wipe that, and it's virtually gone. Can you see? Great. So the dress, I want to make it warm. I want to have some little bit more colour in that. So I'm going to add a little bit of this tangerine colour. So again, the wings are a warm red, yellowy colour rather than a pink. You don't want like a you know, a rose pink, because that would be, it's weird with the warm and cool colours, because they actually have a warm red, a cool red and things like that. But just know that all of this palette is a warm colours. So I'm using oranges, yellows, browns, things like that. So what I'm going to do there, I'm going to take my baby wipe and I'm going to wipe across the dress. Now be careful that you don't wipe it onto the skin, but again, all that detail, can you see the contours on our dress coming out now? So you haven't had to worry about shading and things like that. The actual mold does it for you.
And your water wipes is a top tip.
Oh,
isn't
they're
it?
brilliant. Yeah, they really
Look at
are
that.
great. Isn't that gorgeous? So you've caught a little bit on that flower there, but I'm not worried. I'm going to make the flower pinkier. So I'm going to take my brush, and again, you see how little I'm using. I'm using hardly any colour here. So I'm going to use maybe a little bit of tangerine as the base, more pinky, orangey, and we'll paint this flower here. Quite strong colour. And then I'm going to add some red to it. Again, take your time when you do it, and it'll be a lot easier than it is with a camera hanging over your head and trying to avoid your head getting in the shot. So all you see on me, I see I caught a hand there, on me root that maybe need a bit of attention, just saying. You know, if you're of an age, you know what I mean. All right, so just carrying on, just making sure that it's actually 3D. So remember the edges, a little bit of it just in there. So it is definitely worth investing in some good, but that's what I would say, even before you're talking about magnifying glasses and things like that, invest in a good set of brushes. So I need to get this off here. Look, see, I don't want to wait any longer with that, and that's a really strong colour. So I'm going to have to add quite a bit of water to that. And really just flood it off there, off the hand.
All gone.
All gone. No harm, no foul. All good. So that's not a problem there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a little bit of this warmer colour to this flower, just at the base of these petals. You know, Groundhog Day, where you clean it up and then you do it and then you do it again, and then you do it again. You go, we might be experiencing a little bit of that if I push my luck too much further with this colour in here. But just going to tap it now with a virtually dry brush, just to blend that colour in a little bit. Now I put the orange down knowing that that wasn't the predominant colour I wanted. I wanted it to be more of the reddy colour, but by putting that orangey colour down first, it makes it glow and it gives it a little bit of contouring on the petals, so it looks a little bit more interesting than just a flat red. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is just a clean brush and just go over the top with a little bit of water, and then back to the water wipe, clean bit, and just take away a little bit of the colour. But again, be careful, you don't want to get it back on our hand and then have to do all that again. But when you do this, you're going to see the veins come out of those gorgeous petals. But doesn't it look vintage? Doesn't it look like it's just, doesn't look like it's just been painted? I don't think.
Gorgeous.
It's pretty,
Gorgeous.
isn't it?
Mm.
Thank you, Maria. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use some of this golden green. Now the golden green suggests that golden, hello, you're thinking sun, you're thinking yellow, and that's the clue. It's a warm green, okay? But it's very vibrant, very, very in your face. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring a little bit of that orangey colour there I've just mixed, and now it's going more pale light olive. Can you see? More of an earthy green, which is exactly what I want for this vintage looking piece that I'm painting here.
Kathleen Shields says, I've been working with air dry clay. I haven't tried this paper clay yet. I bought all the colours and it goes off the screen for me then. So
Kathleen,
yeah.
you're going to love the paper clay. Honestly, if you've used air dry clay, it is like, oh, it's a gift, because I'm rubbish at like sticky clay, like real clay. I'm just messy and it sticks to my hands, and it's just, it's not good. The paper clay, it doesn't stick at all. It's fabulous. Kind of like if you imagine Play-Doh, it's as close as it can get to, like, you know, working with Play-Doh. But it dries dry and
it's light
gorgeous.
as a feather as well, isn't it?
Oh, it's so, yeah, fabulous. So if you're making cards, which we are with this project, you're going to be able to post them, and yeah, they're not going, and they're really quite durable as well. You would think if you see a paper, oh, it's not going to, hold up to much, but it really does. And if you want it to be waterproof, you can put a polyurethane varnish or a glaze over it, and it'll really toughen it and make it, so that you can, it's a keepsake. So look at that gorgeous, beautiful color there, that lovely variegated green, that from the light to the dark. And again, just go over with you wipe to bring out some of the detail. Now we need to paint a little thing in her hair, and I want to put a little bit of shading on her face, just a touch, but not too much, because you can get into all kinds of trouble if you go a little bit too much. So let's just use what we've got here and use that little bit there to paint that there, like that. Hoping that's close enough. And then I'll use a little bit of this orangey colour to just do the centre. Fab, that'll do. So what I want is I want to give a little bit of more contouring to her face. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to clean this up here. Use my water wipe. Oh, you know, I should have left that. I forgot we've got the flower to paint, but maybe we can, I don't know how much time it is. Maybe, you know, you've seen how that's been painted. We can move on to the background, possibly. So, with the face, if you want to give it a little bit more contouring, you can start with a little bit more buff again.
I've come in really close for you.
Okay,
Sheena.
brilliant. I don't know if you want me, or I want you to now because it's a bit scary. I'm spoiling. And I'm taking a micro dot of that walnut. And I'm just going to go around the outside of her hairline and under her neck. Just, and maybe just at the underneath her dress, where the sleeve is, and this foot at the back, and just there and there, just where you can imagine there's a little bit of a shadow. And can you see how it's just giving her face a little bit of contour?
Yes.
Is that picking that up there, yeah?
Yes, it is. So you're not going to paint the whole face?
No.
No, just the shadow.
Yeah. Now, you can see her eyes are there. Now, if you're really feeling brave, you can paint in that and do a little bit of painting, but don't do that when it's wet, because when it's wet, it's going to bleed and run away from you. What was I going to do? Something I was just going to, oh, lips, yeah. That might be dry enough. It's not dry enough. Take your heat gun. Oh, got a little bit on our foot there. That needs blending. Take your heat gun and just gently dry it. Not too much, just gentle heat. The reason I'm doing this is, if I try to paint on an area that's wet, the paint will run away from me. The new paint will move into the wet paint. And I don't want that. I want it controlled. I want it to stay, especially if I'm going to attempt, yikes, in front of a live studio audience to paint her lips. I can't believe I'm doing this. Okay, no sudden moves, Maria. Okay, I've mixed a pale brownishy colour here, and I'm just putting it. I think I've given her a little bit of a pout, trout pout there. Don't want a trout pout. She's been at the fellas. Okay, just be careful and just blend it out if you've got a little bit too much on there. Less is more. You definitely don't want too much on there. Okay, just a little tint, a little hint, a touch, a soupçon, a micro dot. And then if you want, you can try and just give her a little bit of, okay, I'm not even breathing, a little hint of an eyebrow. Oh, I think I've got eyelashes there. Okay, just be careful when you do this. Don't do this unless you're really confident, because it looks great even if you just leave her as she is. So what we've got there now is just a suggestion of features in her face. I don't think you need to do much more than that. Would you agree?
Looks lovely.
Thank you. So, like, don't, unless you're really good at close-up painting and it's what you enjoy, and you've got a steady hand, you don't have to. Shall we paint that little flower and the butterfly? Let's do it quickly. I might as well, because it doesn't need to take a long time, as I'll show you. Let's do the colour first. Let's do a brightish. Now, what we said, we did tangerine. Let's do tangerine.
You've got lots of hearts and thumbs up, Sheena.
Oh, thank you.
And you've been joined by Jackie Eels as well, who's being really naughty, so we'll whisper about it.
Yeah.
It's she's got you on in the background while she's working.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, Jackie, what you like?
I know, that's what I love about crafters. They show no fear.
They don't
No.
care. They're not bothered.
No.
Yeah, I love it. Right, and I'm going to put a little bit of red in here as well. Any questions? Remember, shout up. If you got any? Oh, hello. It was like cocktail with brushes there. Did you say? I was channeling Tom Cruise.
Juggling your brushes.
Juggling the brushes as you do. I like to finish every demonstration with a good brush juggling. So I'm going to get me wet wipe and I'm going to just dry that back again. So all of that, be careful with this because it's a really delicate little flower, a bit like myself. And then I'm going to take the green again and I'm going to pop a little bit of that orange in it, just make it a little bit less vibrant. And we'll pop that on there and then we'll do a little bit of the darker green on as well. So I am speed painting this one. I'm not sure how long we've taken. I don't think we've been too bad, have we? Time-wise?
No.
I think quite speedy, considering we've shown a lot, done a lot, talked a lot.
You've got the lovely Susan Balfour watching and joining in here, saying that it takes her back to painting miniatures.
Oh yeah, well that's where it all started, isn't it? Lovely, yeah, Noreen and Sue and
Look at that.
yeah,
Coming closer.
known them for a lot of years. Yeah.
Look at that.
Thank you. Yeah,
So
yeah, super
tiny.
close. I love that super close camera. It's brilliant. And then we'll make this little guy. Let's make him a little bit more. Still want warmer, so I'm gonna do a yellowy base on this one. Oh no, that's buff. I forgot yellow's in here. Mustard is in here. Can you see how pale that buff colour is though? Doesn't matter if you put a pale colour down like that and you go, oh, wrong colour. If you've got one of the stronger colours and it's in the same family, it's warm, you know, colour tone, just paint over the top of it. Honestly, you won't see it. It's all good. It's more forgiving than you think, and it's more fun than you think, because next time you paint her, you might decide to go all cool colours. So you might be using like a magenta pink and maybe turquoises and stuff like that. But and that's the fun of it. That's the fun of the whole thing, isn't it? Painting, crafting.
Detail in that.
I know.
As
it's
opposed
ridiculous.
to the size of it
I
next to your
know.
fingernail. It's absolutely.
I know. It's
tiny.
like it makes it. Why is it that when it's tiny, stop talking even higher?
Hey, you don't you? This is what I made earlier.
Yeah. So we've got that little thing. I don't need to do much more to this little guy there. I'm going to try a little bit of the walnut. Just, and again, this is wet in the centre, so it might bead a little bit, but just for time, we're going to just go down the middle like that. I'm going to put a little bit of shading on this flower just to make it a little bit, it's kind of like a little bit fire damage now, but that's okay, we can fix it. Just to take that vibrancy down and to bring out a little bit more of that detail in the middle. I'm going to put a little bit of yellowy in the middle. Right, so we've got her now painted, all vintage looking. Let me show you what we're going to do to put the card together and clean up for sure, because the white card background and me, never a good combination. So we need a background for her like this one here. Let's bring this one in. Now I'm going to tell you what, I've got one pre-prepared here. What I did was I used the inks with a large flat brush like this, and I painted bands of colour like this, and I just painted blue, it's darker at the top with a little bit of brown or black in it just to mute it down. You know, we're going muted colours, aren't we? Very pale, and then getting paler towards the centre. A little bit of green, and you can see what happens if this is wet and then you put new colour in. It looks like grass. Can you see?
Yeah.
And then a little bit of the gold and yellow into that firecracker at the bottom with some more green, and then I sprinkled a bit of salt on it. So regular salt, even just table salt work. You don't have to have fancy salt. I've got a mixture in here. I've got regular table salt and I've got posh bit of Malden salt in here as well. I use for my sourdough.
The coarse grains.
The coarse green. So it doesn't matter, all salt works. And what it'll do, if you have to be really quick though, and it has to be wet. If it's not wet, spray the background. We'll probably be doing this in more dems coming up. we'll be doing that. Of course, you can do the draw the line, the moving ink one as well. That'll work for the background. But what I'll do now is let me show you just how to make this look really pretty for the setting. So we've got that there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this colour back in, and now what I've got is a brush, this one here, which looks a little bit mad, like it's having a laugh. Look at the length of its bristles. Yeah, this is called a liner or a rigger brush. And the reason it's called that is it used to be used back in the day to paint rigging on ships, because the reason it's got this really long bristles is it holds a lot of paint. So you can do long, beautiful, sinuous swirls and twirls with it without having to reload your brush. And that's why it's like this. But the good thing is it's great for grass. So I'm going to take some of, in fact, we're going to take some walnut to start with. And I'm going to take this, and I want her to be a little bit sitting in amongst some of the little bit darker areas here. So I'm taking the brush and I'm going to use just French mustard. Where's the walnut? There it is. I'm going to just use, and I'm going to pop a touch of green in that as well, just to mix it up. And I'm just brushing like this. And this is creating the illusion of grasses, or could be flowers if you put little flower heads on it as well. And do it some different colours because it looks more authentic that way. You've got some darker grass in there, you're going to have some lighter grass in there, and darker green, lighter green, but want it nice and full, not too long. She wants to look like she's in a jungle, but you're creating a setting now for her. So you're giving her context, you're giving her a world where she can live. So if you keep looking and you think, yeah, she's going to look pretty sitting there like that, isn't she? She looks like she lives there. So if you want, you can make it a little bit darker by putting a little bit more of the brown around where she's going to sit, because that would be a natural shadow, you know, because she would cast a bit of a shadow, wouldn't she?
Mm-hmm.
And then she's going to sit there like this. The other thing you can do is you can use your ink to move around the side. Now I'm going to show you in a future demonstration how to use these inks with blending tools. Okay, you can't do it just ink to blending tool, it doesn't work. You get a horrible splodgy mess, but I'll show you how we can do that in future ones coming up. But for now, we'll let this be here. And now the other thing we can do, we've got the grass done, we can put a few clouds in sky. So we've already got, so when you put your when you wash that background with your colour, if you get your baby wipe or your piece of tissue, you can blot it and lift a little bit of colour. And where you can see there's a little bit of colour there, that's a good start, because now I'm going to use some of the warm white in the matte chalk paint. And I'm going to take a large round brush. This one I'll do here, that one there. And I want it, I'm going to wet it, but then I'm going to dry it virtually. Okay, and I'm going to take my brush and I'm just going to push into this white like this. And I'm going to push like this. And I'm going to just move around and just think of random cloudy shapes like that. And so you get that natural, it looks a little bit more realistic than your cartoon clouds, your Simpson clouds, because you've got a little bit of variation in the white. You know, you've got the white edge frilly bit, and then you've got your pretty little, you know, more pale suggestions in there. And you can do, it's up to you how much you do, but you don't need too much, less is more. Just a little suggestion of makes it just look a little bit prettier, don't you think?
Okay.
And then the other thing you can do with your white is you can take your small brush again, and you can do little kind of little fairy orbs. So if you want to do like little dots like this, that's going to look really pretty. And they could be fireflies, they could be things like that, or you can just do little scribbles like this, and it could be little daisies. So it's up to you again, because when you see them all together, you're not going to see, you know, the detail on the petals. You're just going to, they look like little, just frilly little pom-poms. And it gives her another little pretty setting to sit in. And make it random, so make some taller and some smaller and some bigger. and smaller. Oh, I sound like Dr. Seuss.
Is everybody else holding their breath? I'm holding my breath. She's
Oh
doing
yeah.
that tiny detail.
That'll do. That's fine. It's just little suggestion. And then what she's going to do, she's going to sit there like this. We're going to put our little butterfly like this. She's just going to land in her hand there. And a little magic flower is going to sit there next to her like that. But we're going to stick it together. So we're nearly done. Pop that there. Wipe up the paint again. White card. I'm always a little bit worried with me with white card. Oh, big tip, huge tip coming up. A practical tip here. And if you end up with hands like me, like they're very rarely clean, got ink on them most of the time, I'm not worried about it because I found the secret. We've got gorgeous liquid soaps all over the house. Lovely, all different smells, different makes, different whatevers, and you know they're lovely, but they're just not up to cleaning ink. They just don't do it. They're a little bit on the wimp side. Get yourself a bar of soap. Doesn't really matter what make it is. Just old-fashioned bar of soap. You'll find that cleans the ink off so much better. Does a much better job every time. If you've got some and it's a little bit resistant, you can even put a little bit of baking soda in with your soap as well. And that just, it's like, you know, when you get baking soda toothpaste or something, same deal. A little bit of baking soda in with your soap, and that adds a little bit of what's the word, like coarseness to it, to just help it, but it doesn't harm your hands. But bar of soap every time, yeah, because they are kind of like mustard yellow and things. Ew, it ain't pretty. So right, next stage, I've got some black card cut. I should tell you the size I cut. I did cut this to 4 inches, the card, and this one's 4¼ inches. So what I'm going to do, I mean, surprise, surprise, I'm going to use my trusty Cosmic Shimmer glue. I'm so happy that Cosmic Shimmer glue is back in my life, because, you know, you can use tape runners, you can all kinds, but with this, you buy one of these babies, you've got loads in it, and you just, I'm back to the pattern. You know, years ago, I used to have this pattern, and it's like riding a bike. I'm back to my same pattern. I do a swirl, swirl, sad, isn't it? But I don't get out much, Maria. I just like, oh, I'm still doing the same pattern. And that's, don't need any more than that, because the thing is, this is a low water content, fast grip, high quality, strong glue that you don't have to stand for ages holding to have it grab and stick your card down, because I don't have the patience for that. No siree, Bob. That's all it's going to take, that like that, and that now is stuck really nice and flat. Now the next thing, I'm going to stick this to my base card, which is here now. Oh, you know, I don't know how in inches, don't know what that is. It's a 15 centimeters, so we've gone inches and centimeters. It's a standard size. Is that like a 6-inch square card? I want to say it is. Right, so I'm going to do this now. Stick that one there like that. There's my pattern again. To do it, thank you. Oh, you know what? Oh, look, see what I did there. What am I like? If you're quick, should be able to, don't, yeah, mucky fingers. You know what? If I did that and I didn't want to waste my card, I'd either turn it around, right, the other way, yeah, or I'd let it dry and I'd use a craft knife, flat blade, and just scrape across, because I did get some ink on me, and I'll show you where it was as well, because I tried to wipe something up and I got some on the background. Now, this is where I would be standing up and looking straight over the card, because if you look at it on a foreshortened angle, you're not always centered properly, are you? But if I do that again, you're just going to see my head. So that should stick there nicely. All right, and the other thing is, because this is paper, it's also going to stick our lovely lady, little fairy. nicely there as well. And I like that rule of thirds, you know, with artists, and they'll talk about composition wise, a good rule of composition is to use, like, to put your focal point a third of the way in the picture. So, you know, there's a perfect third. There would also be a perfect third, which is like she's on her way out, she's leaving, you know, she's not very welcoming, she's off, she's waving. So that's a good, it's a perfect position, just about there. I like that a lot. And then, yeah, that'll be great. So again, because and don't worry about testing your colours, as I said, on the back of this, because you're not going to see it, but it's a great way of trying out your colours on the actual clay background that you're going to be sticking, painting. Now that, because that glue's a little bit wetter, I would probably let that sit for, you know, maybe half a minute or so, just so that it's less likely to squidge out. I put quite a bit on there for that. So while that's just having a little bit of time to dry, I just want to press that down. Yeah, you see how that's grabbed straight away? That's why you buy the glue.
It's a superb.
It's just, everyone, it's in the industry, it's like they all know it, they all want it. We've got it. So let me show you here while that's drying. Down here, I managed to get some, I wiped this and got some ink down here. Now you can't see, can you?
No.
Right, but what I did was I used a craft knife, and I used the flat of the knife like that, not the point, the flat, and just go across very, very gently. And you don't want it, you will rough the fibres up a tiny little bit on your background, but it's better to get rid of any paint or glue like that than try and remove it when it's wet on a white background. Let it dry, try and remove it like that with the fibres. So let's see if we can stick this on here, just so that I can let you have your life back. We'll pop her there like that, and just when just give a little time to press down the little edges and things, just to make sure she's adhered, because she's got little leafy bits, wingy bits, all those bits that are going to want to pop up a little bit. So just give it a little bit of encouragement to grab like that. Everyone still happy?
Yes, you got some hearts and some thumbs up.
Excellent. Remember, any questions, shout it up. Right, the little butterfly. This is where tweezers would be really good idea, but I can't see my tweezers, so I'll just pop this little guy just there. Oh, I'll just put my hand on the flower. Good one. As long as it doesn't go on the project, I'm okay. See, you just need a little bit of, while it's drying, just hold that there a little bit. Just because she's a little bit wibbly wobbly, because your clay isn't going to be perfectly flat on the background. On the back, I mean, not the background. So just hold it down a little bit. And if you need to, you can always pop a tiny little soups on more glue underneath there. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to worry about that at the minute, because we are just going to finish off this card. Now, to finish it off, I'm going to use one of these little nameplates here. So these are the fabulous plates that came, that we showed you, that were in that little set. And I really like that Believe. I love Believe. And to paint it, what you're going to do is you're going to get your, I've got the copper here in the Cosmic Shimmer Iridescent. And a flat brush is what you definitely want. Wheeling behind, get my flat brush here. That's a big flat brush. Ooh, right, I might catch it, yeah, but I'm just saying you'd want a smaller brush than that. And I'm going to take some of this. Now, this isn't just powder, this is paint. It's got a powdered binder in it, so like a powdered resin, so that when you add water, it becomes paint. If it didn't have that in, it would just not stick to what you painted it on. You'd think it would when you put water in it, and then when the water dries, it'll all just fall off. So yeah, you don't want that. Where did I put that? Oh, it's there, right in front of me. I believe I couldn't even see it. So what you're going to do is really carefully drag over the surface like this. This really is where you want to take your time, because if you get it on the background, it's just harder to get that off, because it is very blingy. and the flat brush is the easiest way of doing it.
I'm holding my breath again.
I know. I might fall off my seat in a minute if I don't get this done quickly because I'll have gone out of oxygen. I usually finish every demonstration by falling off my seat, just so you know. Might as well get you used to it. Right, I believe we did that okay, Maria. So, what I would do there, I'm not going to stick it on there, but just so you can see, and then we can recap on those dates. That there, it's going to stick there like that, which is why I really like that little black border on there. I will stick it, and then we can see if we can do something with that. If you don't know, might have some plans on getting it to someone.
Ooh.
Oh, she said. Right, I'm going to clear that up, and I think we are done. We're done. You got through it. There will be a lot more coming up. Let me. So that there, we've just made that together, and I hope you enjoyed it. I really did. It was good fun. And let me tell you, let me recap on those dates that are coming up.
Big flurry of hearts there for you, Sheena.
So the dates that are coming up are HobbyMaker, 24th. Do not miss it, because if you do, I'll just be talking to myself again. So don't. Be there, please. Yes.
What time's that?
That'll be 5 o'clock. Oh, well, we're going back and 1 o'clock. Be easier to see 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock, wouldn't it? Yeah, 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock. You can tell I've used all my little brain power up now. time to cool up in the corner, Sheena. And then also on the 25th, everything will be available, wherever you buy your fabulous Cosmic Shimmer products. So I have been Sheena Douglass, and you've been fabulous, and thank you so much, and thank you to Maria for helping us.
Pleasure.
And don't forget, any questions in future ones, shout up, and we will. There's more to come. Look after yourselves, and take care. See you next one on the next one.